I had to start early.
You ain't from the hood. Nah, you ain't get put on, you ain't from the hood. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood.
You ain't from the good hood, get the fuck up out of here.
Niggas always claim to set blood, ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. Oh, I live in the hood, ass nigga. Never got put on, always claiming the hood though. Oh, you fucking with the homegirl, but don't come to the hood with none of your damn homeboys. They don't get a pass. Had a little homies press they ass.
Where y'all at right now?
Hey, your mama waking up to some bad news. The plug saying groove, I'm a dime. I was long Miller Ray, skinny nigga with the braid. Took a 2-man fade. I'm really from the hood. I took a fucking break to get my money right, but I was banging on the plane in the meeting with Jermaine. They like, poet, oh you bang? They forgot where I came from. I was gang banging when it wasn't fun. Homie doing life right now, cause we don't play the fun. You ain't from the hood. Nah, you ain't get put on, you ain't from the hood. So you ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. Niggas always claim to set blood, ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. And that goes for these hoes too. Start fucking on niggas and throwing these niggas hood up. Ha, little dot dot. Heard you gave a homie head in the trap spot. Got a throwaway in the stash spot. Boy, you not real, like a Sasquatch. Boy, I'm so high, I'm seeing astronauts. Boy, I ball hard, I need a mascot. Oh, and Swahili, I'm a damu. My little cousin making paru. My nigga Uzi, he from Fire Deuce. Pad blows, I be hanging with some real whoops. Gang signs out the window when we drive coupes. Making money with some crips like it's 92. Banging on tracks, banging on tracks. Back in my days, it was banging on. You ain't from the hood. Nah, you ain't get put on, you ain't from the hood. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. Niggas always claim to set blood, ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood.
Fuck Chris Brown, nigga. Pull up in the hood right now, nigga. Catch your fade, nigga. Fuck, nigga. Frogs.
You ain't from the hood.
I'm back one more time, y'all. I'm back one more time, y'all. Y'all thought it was over with today. I'm back one more time. What's up in the building? I come up with some shit sometimes. I just come up with some shit in my mind, be like, oh, that sounds familiar. And then shit comes to my head. It's like a puzzle to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I done put some shit together. You don't know I just put this shit together because it makes so much sense to you. I just put it in like gumbo. It's like ingredients to me. Now, I just thought about how they not protecting the Supreme Court judges, and they were protecting, and they wasn't protecting, I mean, they were trying to protect the teachers from the parents. Remember that? Remember the big old DOJ and all the terrorist threats and all the parents as white Nazi supremacists and all that. Remember all of that? Right? Now we finna get into that, right? We finna see the difference on how they protect teachers compared to how they protect Supreme Court judges. Let's get into it. Oops. I got
the FBI to address what it calls a
There we go. Hold on.
The Department of Justice is ordering the FBI to address what it calls a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against public school employees.
They didn't do all of that for the judges. They got an investigation for the teachers, but you mean to tell me they can't have an investigation for the judges on the same thing?
As the battle over abortion rights rages on, protesters gathering outside the home of Justice Samuel Alito overnight.
Oh, you can gather outside a judge's house, but you can't gather inside of a school building to protest your kids and getting taught critical race theory and all this other stuff, but you can protest outside of a judge's house. You get the DOJ and the FBI called on you if you're protesting your kids, right, against teachers, but you don't get nobody called on you if you're getting protested for abortion rights and you're a judge.
Attorney General Merrick Garland faced tough questioning by senators on Capitol Hill Wednesday. Garland doubled down on his memo to the Department of Justice asking the DOJ to investigate threats and violence against school board officials.
School board officials. But what about the judges? What about the judges? That let you know. Remember, they're like, oh, if it was somebody from the left, they wouldn't do it. I mean, they would send the department, they would send the FBI, they would investigate it. Well, this right here proves that is right, because when it's the liberals, which are the school teachers, right, which are the school administrators, was doing this and needed protection from the so-called terrorists, they got the protection.
On the heels of protests outside Justice Brett Kavanaugh and Chief Justice John Roberts' homes.
But the judges didn't.
It comes after the National School Boards Association sent an urgent letter to President Biden. They are asking for increased security and an investigation by federal agencies.
Remember how fast that was? They sent a letter to President Biden. And remember how fast the DOJ said these parents were terrorists and started an investigation all through their Facebook and started harassing the parents and all that old shit? Remember how fast that was? It wasn't that fast for the DOJ, the Supreme Court. They drugged their feet with the Supreme Court, especially Nancy Pelosi.
Now the U.S. Marshals stepping in to protect the members of the High Court.
Now they is.
The Senate quickly moving to pass legislation that would extend security to family members.
It is an attempt to replace the rule of law with the rule of mob.
It's been a lot of incivility. I mean, you've got parents who are accusing teachers of, not doing their jobs, not being safe. For the most part, parents are using school boards as a place to air their concerns and their grievances over a number of, irritations and frustrations over the last year and a half.
Right? They saying parents are going to school and releasing their frustration on the school administrations and all that other stuff, right? They not saying, but even then, right? They quick to investigate the parents as terrorists and Nazis and white supremacists, but they don't investigate nobody from this so-called Supreme Court justice abortion rights protest. Nobody.
Now the U.S. Marshals stepping in to protect the members of the High Court, and the Senate quickly moving to pass legislation that would extend security to family members.
Republicans are among those who accuse Garland of labeling parents who speak out at school board meetings as domestic terrorists.
This is just astonishing. You wonder how low they will go, but at least we've acted. We could have done it Friday easily.
Yeah, protect the teachers, but don't protect the judges.
By unanimous consent on the floor, but Democrats have delayed even this bill to provide additional protection to the justices' families.
Many of these fights have come down to whether kids should or should not wear masks.
I hope YouTube didn't hear that, but face condoms, right? They're trying to say the parents are mad about the face condom. They was mad about a lot of shit, but they still wasn't no damn terrorists or no white supremacists, and they didn't need no protection from the white DOJ.
In school. Many of the fights have also come down over what many parents believe is critical race theory, the idea that teachers are indoctrinating children with the idea that racism is systematic, and there's sort of a rising tide of sort of liberal indoctrination. That's not true in many cases.
Look how they're arresting the parents. They're not arresting no protesters like that. They're arresting the parents, labeling them white supremacists. Y'all are Nazis. But you can go outside, right, because the Democrats say you can and protest abortion all day long. You can protest a leak all day long. But go to the school and protest your kids getting taught critical race theory. They're going to lock your ass up.
Speaker, if for some reason that we continue to come to the floor, that you feel some pressure on that bill, but you change it, the country will know why.
Garland's memo followed a request by the National School Boards Association asking the feds to step in.
Ain't that what the ain't that what the Supreme Court is asking? Right? Ain't that what the Republicans is asking, for the FBI to step in and protect the judges so they won't be intimidated, so they won't be threatened into making decisions?
If you change the bill and move it back to the Senate, you're trying to kill it. You're trying to delay it. That's exactly what you're doing.
Lots of school board members are getting death threats by email. They're sort of being...
And a lot of school... The same thing is happening to the teachers, is happening to the judges, but they're not taking it as serious as they taking it with the teachers, with the judges as it is with the teachers. Why is that? Liberal privilege.
Yelled at in public, and so some of this rise in, altercations at school boards, there's some concern that this could escalate.
I think you're jeopardizing people's lives. I think you're jeopardizing the safety of the Supreme Court. And I think you're playing more games than anybody in this country can understand, and we do not understand why.
Quote, the Counterterrorism Division and Criminal Division created a threat tag, edu officials, to track instances of related threats. We ask that your officers apply the threat tag to investigations and assessments of threats specifically directed against school board administrators.
Remember this? Remember how big this was? Remember the father who had a daughter got sexually assaulted at the school, and they arrested him and made him the face of the parents and the Nazi teachers. The Nazi parents going after the administrators. Remember, he was the face until we found out what it was. This is what you get when you get liberal privilege. The teachers get protected. The teachers get the Department of Justice. The teachers get to sign a letter to Joe Biden and say, we feel for our lives. But the judges can't.
Because there has been no clear answer. Why would you hold the bill for more than a month? Why would you hold the bill after somebody's arrested that traveled across the country to kill a justice?
Huh? They wanted to hold the bill to protect the judges for a month. Barely passed it. Barely got it to the Congress, right? But as soon as the teachers write a note about the parents, it happens immediately. Less than a week. Probably the fastest ever.
Why would you continue to hold the bill now?
That's up for the Department of Justice and others to determine. What our focus is on is not getting our distracted or our eye off the ball of what is most important to people across the country here, which is not the leak and the story of the leak.
Right? I want you to see how they protect the leak. It's not about the leak, right? Now, if conservatives was going to have a beef, it would be like, okay, we're not even saying nothing about the leak, right? We're not going crazy over the leak or anything like that. We accepting the leak or whatever. We think whoever the correct authority is going to handle the leak, even though we still don't fucking know who the leak is. They protecting the leak. They know who the leak is. Why we ain't found? It's been over a month. You mean to tell me the Department of Justice, right, with all this authority, with all this investigation, they can be doing the stuff like that? You mean to tell me that they still don't know who the leak is yet? They still haven't investigated or found out who the leak is and exposed them? Do you mean to tell me the leak still haven't got reprimanded yet? It's over a month. They can tell me when I say nigga on YouTube, or I say something about the Wuhan, right? But you mean to tell me somebody leaked a Supreme Court justice decision or draft, and they still don't know who it is? They protecting the leak.
It is the fact that women's health care is at risk for millions of people across this country.
The group has since apologized for inflammatory language, but Garland says that has no bearing on the DOJ's stance.
And that's about teachers, right? Remember, when the Teachers Association apologized for writing a letter and talking about the parents of terrorists, Garland say it doesn't matter about what the language they're using. We still going to investigate their ass hard, right? Look at the language used against the Supreme Court justice, right? And Garland ain't said shit.
They should be very, very afraid. This brings us back to the days of, Hoover and McCarthyism, that essentially labeling good, honest American citizens are now being vilified and basically tracked by our own Department of Justice.
This is the second time Garland has appeared on Capitol Hill in 2 weeks. He says he is not just concerned about school board members, but a rising tide of violence against other groups.
Of course.
And what other groups is them?
Is that the left has been protesting outside justices' homes. They published the addresses of justices' homes. The tweet that came out from the group named after Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I can't remember exactly what they called themselves. They published the Church of Justice Barrett and the school where her children go to school,
including judges, prosecutors, and elected officials. He insisted he never used the words domestic terrorists when questioned by GOP lawmakers yesterday.
I can't imagine any circumstance in which the Patriot Act would be used in the circumstances of parents complaining about their children, nor can I imagine a circumstance where they would be labeled as domestic terrorism.
Liar. You hear that? Lie right in your face. I don't understand why they will be labeled a terrorism. I don't know why they be investigated as a terrorism and had the Patriot Act put on them. Right? Well, why the hell you do it? That's what was in the report, stupid.
He did not say it didn't happen. He said, I cannot imagine it happening. So there are many, many ways not to answer a question.
Senators put him on the spot about whether the goal is to intimidate parents into silence.
Did you consider
I do not.
the chilling effect that this sort of threat of federal prosecution would have on parents' exercise of their constitutional rights to be involved in their children's education?
Garland's memo did not detail what the threats of violence were, but may have accused him of targeting, GOP did anyway, of targeting parents for speaking out against mask mandates and questioning school curriculum at school board meetings.
Now understand this. He never exposed what the threat was from the parents to the teachers. Now, everybody know what the threat is from the psychos and the liberals to pro-life advocates, to judges, right? We all know. They openly say it on Facebook, on social media, in front of people's houses. We all know the threat, right? And he ain't done shit about it. We don't even know how the parents threaten the teachers. And he putting the DOJ and they're having investigation and trainer exercises and everything. And we still don't even know the threats. That's partisan. Why is it that you won't tell us the threats that these parents are so-called doing? Is it that secret? Right? If it's that secret, why ain't nobody getting prosecuted? Right? You acting like you holding a secret indictment or something. Is it a threat? Is it harassment? You ain't got to tell us the person. You can tell us the crime. But they got it so secret they can't even tell you the crime that's been so-called put on the teachers, or I mean the teacher administrations, right? They're not even telling you the crimes. That let you know it's some bullshit.
And so asking for the Biden administration's help on this is the next step. And, you know, the Attorney General's response was fairly quick.
See how quick it was? It was fairly quick. Quicker than the judges. Way quicker than the judges. The teachers automatic. Remember that Garland's son has something to do with this teachership because he was a teacher, a gay teacher, son fighting for advocacy, right? And he was one of the people that wrote the letters, that got the letter, the investigation so quick, so fast. Remember all that? I got elephant memory. I remember all that shit.
Well, Terrell, let's talk about the timing. It was less than a week after the National Association of School Boards sent its letter to President Biden that the Department of Justice issued its own memo. So what did the senators have to say about the timing?
And I think you're going to see more of these discussions at the local level about how to address this violence and how to tone down some of the rhetoric, restore civility to these public meetings.
Well, Gordon, Republican senators, including Senator Ted Cruz of Texas and Tom Cotton of Arkansas, excoriated Garland for the memo. It was sent days after the NSBA sent a letter to President Biden calling for the use of measures against parents, including the Patriot Act, which is typically used to combat terrorism.
Who was that? Send me a donation. Shonda Henley, love your channel. God bless. USA. Thank you, Shonda Henley. I hope you like this video about the parents getting harassed and not the people, the protesters that's protesting against the judges. It's about to get real deep because I'm about to get into the crimes that people committing right now, right? Shonda, I'm finna get into the crimes. It's finna get deep, Shonda. Hold on. Stay with me.
I believe it's reasonable to read this memorandum as chilling anyone's rights. It's about threats of violence, and it expressly recognizes the constitutional right to make arguments about your children's education.
Right? They don't understand this. They're taking kids' education, abortion, more seriously than kids' education. Right? They taking people, they are doing all kind of violence and threats and all kind of stuff for abortion rights, but they can't prove nothing about parents threatening teachers, but they still put the DOJ on them. Haven't got one case, one threat. Ain't no psycho went up to the school with a gun. None of that. But you get the Department of Justice to investigate parents under the Patriot Act, and then you get on in front of the hearing and say, you think I don't see how it can happen? Like old girl say, you say you don't see how it can happen. You didn't say it did happen, which it did happen. Right? Lie right in your face. You can't trust nobody from the Biden administration.
And in another new development in the ongoing fight over critical race theory being taught in schools, parents in Loudoun County, Virginia, have been asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement in order to view a portion of the district's new curriculum.
Parents on the right.
You got to sign a non-disclosure form, meaning you can see what we teach you, your kids, but you can't tell nobody about it. What you mean? This is education. I can't tell nobody about the education you teaching my kids. What they want to come to the school, I can't tell them.
I have been concerned that this is an overstep, that this is weaponizing the Patriot Act, that it's an overstep of the federal government. And so I think you're going to see pushback to this as well. Just the idea that the federal government is getting involved here is something that parents may also take to complaining about.
The school board has been insisting its equity plan is not critical race theory, Gordon and Terry, but apparently they don't want them to talk about whatever's in there. The letter said that some acts of malice, violence, and threats against public school officials could actually amount to terrorism. In the memo, Garland did not detail any specific threats or violence or even offer reasons for the increase in harassment and threats, but some Republicans insist he is politicizing the Justice Department by issuing that memo so soon, which raises questions about whether the Justice Department was directed by the White House, they say. Garland denies.
Directed by the White House. How did it move so fast? They wrote the letter to Joe Biden. How did the letter move so fast and the Department of Justice was sent out to investigate these parents so fucking fast and arrest them and all of those stuff? Get on their Facebook and spy on them, right? Started charging them with the Patriot Act if they came up there harassing parents. Where did they get all this power? Where did the teachers get all this power? Where is it that you can protest outside of a Justice Department house, right? And not get arrested, right? But these people, but you can't. But these people, they don't get arrested for shit. But you go to a school, right, where your kids are supposed to be learning, where you pay taxes at for your kids to go to school at, right? You go there and you get arrested. Then if you see the lesson and you see the curriculum you teaching, you got to sign a non-disclosure order. Meaning if you talk about whatever they teaching at the school, you can get sued. I ain't never heard of no shit like that in my life. If you talk about the shit we teach at school, we going to sue you. And you got to sign a paper to see it. I ain't never heard no shit like that in my life. Meaning you can't talk about it on the news. Meaning you can't expose it. Meaning you can't do nothing. You can't talk about it. We gonna sue. And you signed this paper. What kind is that even legal? I mean, is that even legal for somebody to sign a paper for them to see the work that they're teaching your kids? It has to be a law against that.
That being the case, he did yesterday. By the way, the NSBA president, Gordon and Terry, who signed the letter comparing parents to domestic terrorists, was picked by Biden to serve on a government board that actually tracks student progress.
It's a setup. It's a setup. The person that signed the paper was was a person that was picked by Biden to track student progress, and now you're tracking parents' progress? How did that happen? Liberal privilege.
You got to think about how you're going to get yourself back in.
Planned Parenthood President and CEO Alexis McGill Johnson talked about taking action Wednesday night on The Daily Show. And she's not the only one.
The Supreme Court doesn't have to have the last word.
In the Senate, Democrats are planning a vote on making abortion rights federal law.
Across the spectrum of issues, where is the Democratic Party?
Right? Now, the parents, which were probably, we're going to say they was conservatives, right? Conservative. Even if they wasn't conservative, they conservative now after they saw how they was treated, right? Now, they try to get liberals with emotion. They try to get emotion. Joe Biden with emotion. Gavin Newsom with emotion. Trying to explain, right, that the Democrats need to fight. Now, if Donald Trump was to get on here and say anything like these Democrats will say, they would consider it fight words, or I don't want to say the words because you two are probably tracking the words, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean, right? If Donald Trump came on here and talked like Gavin Newsom, right? Like Nancy Pelosi, like Elizabeth Warren, right? They would charge him with something. They would impeach his ass. But look how they get to sit up here and talk. And you don't think the sickos hear this shit? Look how Democrats get to talk and don't nobody say shit.
Where's the party?
A range of options.
The Biden administration promising a fight, but not offering very many specifics.
Promising a fight, but not mentioning Pacific. What fight is you promising, Biden? You're not promising any Pacifics, but what fight are you talking about? Because if it was appeal, you can say appeal. What fight are you talking about? So when you say fight, what does that mean to a sicko out there who think fight but no Pacifics? Oh, Joe Biden want to fight but no Pacifics, huh?
The United States Congress can act and protect a person's right to an abortion.
But the mainly symbolic vote is unlikely to pass.
You guys say this is not a political issue. When the president's statement about this talked about getting pro-choice officials elected.
But when you get pro-choice officials elected, right, that means pro-life officials got to get unelected. And Elizabeth Warren finna say it plainly right here. We need to unelect them.
You don't have the votes for it.
By making people vote on this issue that matters to so many people, we've got a chance now maybe to change the makeup of who's in the United States Senate.
Huh? We got a chance to change the makeup of who's in the United States Senate. They want to change the makeup of the United States Senate. Not in a good way, in a bad way.
And I'm all in on that.
Did I say it's not a political issue?
Yes, you actually said some call it a political issue. It is not. Abort Air Force
Well,
One.
because the vast majority of the public believes that this should not be overturned. Meaning, I meant to say it's not a partisan issue, and I don't think it is. There are many Republican and independent men across the country who do not believe the Supreme Court should overturn a woman's right to make choices about her own health care.
I mean, I've heard a lot of threats that...
Right? They don't do nothing about them protesters, right? But when the teachers get harassed, supposedly, right, which nobody can give us no evidence or no kind of a case or no kind of example or anything, like, the feds come out, the FBI come out, the swimming ducks come out.
We're going to throw you out of office. But I haven't heard any threats of physical violence. Was there any incident that Garland could point to that was of concern that would lead to that kind of memo by the Department of Justice?
Intimidation, that's how the left operates. We got reports that the neighbors of Justice Kavanaugh are scared.
The neighbors of Justice Kavanaugh are scared. It's not about, like, it's not about just protecting Judge Kavanaugh, right? You got sickos running through the neighborhood and you don't know who these sickos are, right? These neighbors don't know none of these people. These people are from the outside of their community, right? Imagine the kids. Imagine the people trying to sleep. Imagine the people trying to conduct business. Imagine the people, the senior citizens in the house, right? Imagine the people you making uncomfortable with your protests all day, all night.
Protesters have shaken up their homes, disrupted their lives. They're scaring children. Justice Barrett and Kavanaugh have children.
There was not. The Republican lawmakers pointed that out as well yesterday. There was no specific threats that actually led to this. So again, where the lawmakers are questioning the timing just a few days after the NSBA made the request to President Biden, and then Garland issues this memo.
Why aren't we right? It took a month for them to pass it for the judges. It took less than a weekend for them to pass it for the teachers, right? Liberal privilege, right? Now watch Governor Newsom. These are like fight words. Donald Trump better not say no shit like this. Better not near Republicans say what these Democrats say. Your ass will be impeached.
Why aren't we standing up more firmly, more resolutely? Why aren't we calling this out? This is a concerted, coordinated effort.
So again, the thinking is that the White House might be calling the shots here, but again, no specifics where they're, suddenly referring to parents as domestic terrorists.
I am angry because we have reached the culmination of what Republicans have been fighting for, angling for decades now, and we are going to fight back.
You damn right, Vanessa, the left is Marxist, right? But you see how the left get on here and can fight for this and say that, but if a Republican get on here and say this, their ass would be impeached, Vanessa. Good looking out on the donation. Vanessa always coming through, right? But if a Republican, Donald Trump, was get on here and say that, their ass would be impeached. This is the what's good for me, or I'm on top and you up under me, right? We get to do this and you can't do that, right? We get to investigate and we can't be investigated. Everything we do, you can't do to us. One party rule. This shit was never, even under Donald Trump, when they said Donald Trump was trying to be a dictator, or Donald Trump was trying to control the government, we never had all these problems, Vanessa. We never had all these problems. Donald Trump was about free speech, Second Amendment rights, right? Close to the border, making America first. We never had these problems. We never had no problem with America coming last. We never had no problem with freedom of speech. We never had no problem with Second Amendment rights. We never had no problem with anything, right? Under Joe Biden, we got a problem with everything. So you're right about this Marxist. The Democrat is a Marxist party. I need to do a show. Vanessa, you're right. I need to do a show on how that's probably going to be tomorrow. You just gave me an idea. Bing! I'm here to do a show on how the Democrats is a Marxist party and how all their characteristics add up to Marxism. I ought to do that. That'll probably be tomorrow's video. Marxism.
The protesters are abusive. They're shouting things like F you, F your children, and this could get worse.
Fuck you and fuck your children. Huh? How is that legal? How is that not harassment? Right, you standing outside of these judges' house in the community with all kind of kids, and you're saying fuck you and fuck your children loud while beating on drums. But the Democrats don't want to talk about it. They want to talk about abortion rights.
And yes, they're winning. They are. They have been. Let's acknowledge that.
He's saying the Republicans is winning, right? So when you put it in the head the Republicans is winning, right? So the liberals and the leftists got in their head, we losing. So we got to step our game up, right? Because the Democrat Party is losing right now. So how can we win? What can we do to win? We can't do it through legislation. We can't do it with the vote. We can't do it with passing policies. The only way to do it is by force. The only way to do it is by fear. The only way to do it is by intimidation. Because we can't do it by law. And the Democrats are telling their party this. Like, oh, they winning. They're winning. So what are we going to do if they're winning? Sickos may hear that and take it the wrong way.
Because the United States Congress can change all of this. Yes. Angry but
committed.
Angry, but committed. Committed, right? All them people out there is angry and committed. But what they're angry about and committed to, we know nothing about, right? We know the topic, but we don't know how angry they are or how committed they are. Because the person who went over to Judge Kavanaugh's house, evidently that nigga was all in. That nigga said, fuck it. I'm committed and I'm in it and I'm angry, right? I'm finna go and commit some shit, right? I'm angry. So evidently, they knew what the fuck he was doing.
We need to stand up. Where's the counteroffensive?
The protesters are chanting that riots could happen if they don't get what they want.
This never happened in our lifetime. They're taking away rights.
Right? If we don't get what we want, we're going to protest. This dude say they're taking away rights. They're taking away rights. They don't speak on it. They don't speak on none of the violence that the Democrats or the liberals do, right? Because it falls under what they want, the votes they want, the policies they want, right? Never denounce them, never condemn them, right? Never do any of that. Let them do what the fuck they want to. Let them burn this motherfucker down. Let Black Lives Matter. Let them shoot this motherfucker up. Let them lock down cities. Let them burn down police department. Let them snatch down statues. Right? It's all in the name of democracy. They're mad. They're angry. They're going to do what they do. Remember that? The Summer of Love? They're going to do what they do. Commander Harris, they're not going to stop. The bald head bitch on there talking about protesters and whatever the hell she was talking about, all the Democrats okayed it. Just like they okaying the violence right now. But let you say something in the name of conservatism. Let you even speak out in the name of conservatism. Right? They blame conservatism Republicans for the mass murders. They blame them. They say they don't care about women's rights, but they have men competing in women's sports. They say we don't care about the kids, right? When they got kids running around here dying in these and uneducated and fatherless in these homes, right? They say we don't care about black folks when they haven't done anything to advance the black race in over 50, 60 years since they've been voting Democrat, right? Everything you say we don't do, evidently you do this shit, but you do it better. That's why so many people are migrating away from the Democratic Party. Look at the shit y'all talking about. Even in abortions, this shit is aggressive. This shit is anger. You're fueling the flames on the fire.
That have been affirmed over and over again and well established. They are taking them away. Wake up, America.
Huh? Wake up, America. You got one person saying, wake up, America. Wake up and do what? What America going to do? The vote is in. The decision is in. It's going to be handed back to the states. What do you want America to do? Right? Everything we supposed to do, they done it. We got the Supreme Court justice in the House, right? The case went back to the Supreme Court. They made a decision. One party wasn't going to like it. Right? What about all them times y'all reaffirmed Roe versus Wade and stuff like that, and the conservative lost it in court? They didn't run around shooting and burning shit down and threatening people. They lost Roe versus Wade plenty of other times in Texas and Mississippi when they tried to get it overturned. They made new laws, extended laws. Conservatives didn't go out and shit. They took it like champs. Well, one day we get in power, we're going to overturn it and give it back to the state. They've been saying it the whole time. They handled the legal way, the American way, the democratic way, the whatever the fuck you want to say way. They waited. While all them 50, 60 years y'all had y'all people in power and the liberals making decisions, Democrats didn't do shit. You had a couple of sickos now and then. But not like the sickos y'all got. Not like the sickos y'all got. Y'all protest everything in the last year violently. Police, violently. Floyd, violently. Voting rights, violently. The nigga who got shot in the back, violently. Every protest, violently. Conservatives ain't had no violent protests about. They defended themselves. They went on some marches and probably got into some shit. But it's not like we finna just have a rally and just burn up shit because we don't like the decisions people made. And the date was based on a couple of people, not on the decisions that people made. People wanted to see a little justice being done because people wanted it done the Democratic way. And they got tired when it wasn't the Democratic way and done something on the date. That was different. But you're egging this shit on. Look how aggressive these people are.
Understand this. Understand this. I have seen the world where abortion is illegal. And we are not going back.
Huh? We are not going back. Right? So when they setting this shit up, they already know the leak is out. And they telling the crowd what they're not going to do, what we're not going to accept. We're not going to accept the decision. We're not going back to this. It's going to take away women's rights, and we're going to fight for it, and we're going to stand for it. They already talking about they're going to fight for it. They're already talking about when they're going to make a stand for it. And the decision ain't even out. They don't even know the decision yet. So imagine how aggressive they're going to be when the decision can't come out. Because it's not going to be nothing they can do after the decision after the decision is made or come out. The only thing they can do after that, they can't try to influence nobody to change the decision. All they can do is express the anger over the decision that was made. So I'm not going to do anything for you because the decision, because they try to influence the decision because you already made it. Now I'm going to show my anger. Because the decision already made. I'm going to be a martyr. You got to get these judges protection because of people like Elizabeth Warren and Gavin Newsom and the rest of the Democratic Party.
Well, new orders for the FBI, the Attorney General ordering the FBI, rather, to help protect school employees and teachers across the nation.
In light of what happened to Justice Kavanaugh.
Yeah, and critics keep feeling like they're playing with fire, right, Congresswoman? I mean, we have the pro-abortion group Jane's Revenge declaring, quote, it's open season on pro-life crisis pregnancy centers. This is domestic terrorism threat.
Huh? You got pro-life Mary Jane or whatever, Jane's birth or whatever fuck it is, Jane's birth, talking about they going all out on pro-life advocates, right? But they're not getting investigated as terrorists. They're not even getting investigated like the teachers was. And they openly threaten people online. They're openly acting in terrorist acts. And they're not getting hit with the terrorist label. Why? Because they liberal. Because they from the left. They can do that shit. They can blow up pro-life centers. They can go and threaten pro-life community. They can threaten Catholic church. They can do that. They can go online and say what they're gonna do, and nobody take their post down. They can share it. People can share it. People can like it. People can comment on it. But let you say something conservative about anything, they're taking your shit down. Right? Abortion group declares open season on pro-lifers, warns next protest won't be as easily cleaned up as fire and graffiti. What do you mean? It won't be easily cleaned up. This is an open threat to judges. But nah, you want to investigate the threats to the teachers. That's non-existent.
Threats.
Now, this new order follows an uptick in violence and threats against them. The FBI is now discussing ways to address this disturbing trend.
And the question is, why isn't AG Garland and the DOJ acting on this? Because the group has a history of attacking property.
The violent...
Huh? They got a history of attacking property. Ain't no parents got no history of attacking property. Ain't no parents got no history of burning shit down. Ain't no parents got no history of writing graffiti on schools. But this group do. The Mary Jane gang or whatever the fuck their name is, they showing the hell do intimidation. Where's the investigation for the intimidation?
Violent pro-abortion group Jane's Revenge announced just this week that its month of mercy is over.
Not a bold. They said it's over. Their month of mercy is over. We're not giving motherfuckers no more mercy. It is over. Right? We are worse than the Klan.
Where vandals targeted a Catholic church, spray painting abortion rights slogans on the doors of the sanctuary.
That is demonic right there. That is demonic. Why ain't Garland investigating people are going after churches? Ain't that a hate crime? Shouldn't this be a hate crime? If this is remember when the dude snatched the flag down from the gay church, right? And they said, oh, that's a hate crime. You mean to tell me because they believe in pro-choice, pro-life, right? That they can be targeted, spray painted? If somebody was to paint nigga on the wall, wouldn't that be a hate crime? You can target these people, spray paint, graffiti and shit, my body, my choice, and it's not a hate crime. You're targeting these people because of their beliefs. Just like gay people, they got beliefs that they're women and men. So if they get targeted, it's a hate crime. Why the church can't be considered a hate crime? Why they can't at least be investigated?
Might be the group, which some have labeled as domestic terrorism, now declares it is open season on pro-life groups in response to reports that the Supreme Court is poised to overturn Roe versus Wade.
It's open season. You can say that? You can say that? Let somebody conservative say that about anything. It's open season because we don't like the decision you made. Let the conservative say that. Your ass will be locked up with Jeffrey Epstein or somebody. Right? You cannot say that. But the teachers, they get more love than the damn judges, right? And pro-life advocates. You a pro-life advocate or you got anything to do with pro-life? That is demonic. Who in the fuck spray paint churches? Remember they burned one down when Trump was in Washington? They go after churches. Who in the fuck go after a church? That is some of the most demonic shit you can do. The church?
WJZ Live at 7 o'clock tonight. Andy Rose Ramos explains why school employees need this protection in the first place.
They took credit for vandalizing a pregnancy center, a resource center in Des Moines, Iowa.
Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales reports. Eric?
Well, Tracy, the group has already claimed responsibility for a number of attacks on pro-life organizations, including pregnancy care centers across the country.
Pregnancy care, they're attacking. Look, think about this. They're attacking places where women go to get care for the baby they're trying to have. Think about this, how demonic this is. They're going after, Vanessa, if you're still on here, listen to me, Vanessa. They are attacking churches. They are attacking buildings where women go to get health care, to have their baby that they want to keep. They're going to build and say, no, you can't keep your baby. You should have an abortion or you ain't going to get the proper care for your kid because we're going to burn this motherfucker down. How demonic is that? Abortion clinics outnumber probably probably, I don't know which one outnumber which one, but I'm pretty sure ain't nobody going around doing that shit to no Planned Parenthood. They done it probably back in the days. It probably was some sickos done this shit, but ain't nobody doing that. But think about this. They're going to war to on the people that, first of all, the church, the people that believe in God, the people believe in God, it made babies to be sacred and angels and all. They going to war against them. Because they're pro-life, they want to see, they don't have anything to do with policies. The church don't have anything to do with politics. All they say is we want every life to be cherished. And they get targeted. And then you got these pro-life community centers, right, saying all we want to do is give the lady proper health care. Let them know it's a different, you got a different option than abortion, right? We can give you pills or sonograms, or we can teach you how to breathe. We can give you different kind of things that help you along the way. But these people are so demonic, they telling these people, no, we're going to burn this shit down and it's a war on you. You can't get more demonic than that.
General Garland is having federal authorities like the FBI hold strategy sessions in the next 30 days. They're going to be holding them with law enforcement, including on the local level, to address these threats being made against teachers and public school employees.
We've got...
Teachers and public school authorities, right? But you can threaten churches and bomb the shit out of pro-life centers. And nothing happens.
And one report said nearly 24 to 50 cases of pro-abortion violence and intimidation in at least 20 states since the leak of that Supreme Court opinion.
Now, we checked in with some teachers in Baltimore County. They tell us they have been receiving threats, that these are the first threats they've ever received in their entire careers, and all they want to do is teach.
They've included everything from fire bombs to graffiti to vandalism, and now the group says that even more attacks will take place.
Right? No attack from the parents ever, and they're terrorists. Patriot Act, white supremacists. Attacks on churches, people, pro-life centers, and they're labeled nothing.
From a draft opinion.
Pro-abortion advocates dressed as handmaidens barged into a Catholic church during Mass and shouted pro-abortion messages.
Quote, "You have seen that we are real and that we are not merely pushing empty words."
Huh? You seen that we are real and we're not pushing empty words. You mean these threats can go on social media and nobody go to jail? Nobody's being investigated? And they're telling you what they're going to do? They're telling you they're for real? You already seen the shit we're going to do, and we're going to do more?
There have been threats against me. Cindy Sexton is the president of the Teachers Association of Baltimore County, and for the first time in over 20 years teaching, she's receiving threats.
Like I received a donation from Charles. Good looking out, Charles. I'm glad you like the information, Charles. But do you see this shit, Charles? Right? Did you see they can spray paint no houses? They can spray paint no communities. They can dox you. They can put your address out, your business out, your school, your kid's school out, Charles, and nobody says nothing. Nobody says nothing. But as soon as you do something as a conservative, your ass is going to feds.
In a message addressed to pregnancy care centers and other pro-life organizations, the extreme pro-abortion group Jane's Revenge says, quote, "It's open season and we know where your operations are. We will never stop, back down, slow down, or retreat."
What? Did you hear this? Huh? It's open season and we know where your operations are. What? You know where all the places are to help women have birth, get health care, prenatal care? We will never stop. What does that mean? Ain't that what Elizabeth Warren just said? We will never stop? Ain't that what she just said? Right? We won't back down or slow down or retreat. How much more do you need for a threat? None of this was said about the teachers, but this said about judges and community centers and people business and people livelihoods and people residents. We know where you stay. We know where your operations are. That's a threat. My grandmother says some shit like that, somebody getting shot.
I got an email that threatened real violence. Those were the words, real violence. She said the threat started when the union voiced its vaccine position for teachers and escalated when she believes the mandate put teachers in the middle of a political issue, making them more at risk.
The group claims credit for numerous violent attacks on pro-life properties and states more are coming. Quote, everyone with the urge to paint, burn, to cut, to jam, now is the time.
Huh? Did you see that, right? Everyone with the urge to paint, burn, to cut, or to jam, now is the time. Right? If you want to come out and do this shit, now is the time.
That is this week's Speak Out segment.
The hell is this?
And the Attorney General is doing something about it, citing a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff.
This is the 30th time in the past 2 years that a metro area church from the Catholic Archdiocese has been targeted by vandals. And the second time in the past 7 months that this one behind me has been struck by vandals as well. The Archdiocese says given their anti-abortion stance, they weren't surprised that vandals would target one of their properties. They just weren't sure when and where it would happen.
When and where it would happen. We know these son of a bitches coming, right? We know they coming. But then you got all these Democrats, so-called Catholics and so-called love the Lord and all this old shit, don't even protect the churches. They don't even say nothing when the churches get burned down by these damn nuts.
I'm a very Catholic person, and I believe in every woman's right to make her own decisions.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was asked about violence on pro-life facilities. The self-professed Catholic did not denounce the attacks, instead elaborated on her pro-abortion agenda.
You hear that? She did not denounce the attack. She did not say, don't do it. Don't burn down churches. Don't go after these Catholic churches. Don't do none of that. I'm a Catholic. These people are innocent. I support these people. These are my people. She didn't say nothing. She didn't condemn it. She talked more about the abortion than she did about protecting the Catholic Church. What kind of Catholic is her and Joe Biden? 30 churches burned down by these nuts recently, and nobody's saying shit. Nobody been investigated. Nobody's been going to jail. We ain't been heard here about nobody going to jail for burning down pro-life clinics. Nobody. We didn't hear nobody going to jail when they were burning down shit in the summer of love. Liberals can burn down shit and don't face the prosecution or the consequences. But let us burn some shit down. Oh boy, it's gonna be trouble, trouble.
Now calling in the FBI and other federal authorities after receiving an urgent request from the National School Boards Association.
A woman has a right to choose, to live up to her responsibility. It's up to her, her doctor, her family, her husband, her significant other, and her God.
Her God. Like, we've got different gods. Who is her God? Do she got a different God than us? Why you couldn't just say God? Who in the hell is her God? We got a different God than you. Do you worship somebody different than our God? It's only supposed to be one God, Nancy. Why do they got a separate God? Because when you got a separate God, it can separate you when you go into churches and do shit like this.
They rattled on, claiming there is a right to abortion that the church has deprived women of for 2,000 years, and attacking the Archbishop of San Francisco, Salvatore Cordileone, a strong pro-life leader.
You can go into churches and protest. You can go into churches and threaten. You can go in churches and burn shit down. You can go to churches and spray paint. But you better not go to a school board member and ask about your kids' curriculum.
I also find it just the height of perversity and absurdity that these folks, A, lay claim to freedom, but perhaps more insidiously suggest.
Yeah, like he finna cry. This is no next candidate for president, y'all. He act like he crying and shit. How can they want to do pro-life? I can't believe him. Look at the emotion.
Insidiously suggest that they're pro-life.
Once church officials were able to steer the protesters out of the church, they proceeded to attack a pro-life advocate who was peacefully holding a pro-life sign outside of the cathedral. They ripped her sign and shoved her. This callous display shows just how desperate and devoid of sense the pro-abortion argument is.
Huh? They would attack you. They will attack you. You can't say nothing about it. They will attack you.
And their violence against a pro-life advocate was uncalled for.
Hearings going on, but we hear silence from Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the Democrats about illegal protests at these justices' homes. They're playing with fire.
Consistently, the one group of people that over and over and over again oppose all of those supports, and they claim to be pro-life, they're pro-birth. That's all this is about.
AG Garland still not enforcing the law. Harassment and intimidation of our judges at their homes is illegal.
It's the pro-birth party. And then you are on your own.
Then you have top Democrat Hakeem Jeffries. He's equating, Republicans calling for protecting justices. He's bringing up the, quote, insurrection.
If Justice Thomas really wants to deal with bullying in America or this problem of people supposedly unwilling to accept outcomes that they don't like, I've got some advice for Justice Thomas. Start in your own home.
He talking about Judge Thomas, right? He wanted to say, they asking him about protecting judges, right? But he wanted to switch it around and say, oh, you want to talk about protection? You want to talk about bullies? Start in your own home. It's not about that. We're talking about his protection. Fuck what you got against him and the decisions he made. We're talking about the protection. But he like, well, don't blame it on the protection. You ought to learn your lesson, and you're getting what you deserve.
Have a conversation with Jeannie Thomas. She refused to accept the legitimacy of the...
And the neighbors say overwhelmingly people from outside the area are organizing the protests.
Why? Because she didn't like the outcome. And so instead, she tried to steal the election, overthrow the United States government, and install a tyrant. That's bullying. That's being unwilling to accept an outcome because you don't like the results.
Not ever. No. So say it with me. We are not going back. We are not going back. Not ever. Not ever.
What that sound like? We are not going back, not never. That sound like a threat. That sound like you're going to make a threat. Whatever don't go your way, you're going to fight against it.
Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Never.
Because the former twice impeached so-called president of the United States of America lost legitimately to Joe Biden. How did she respond? Instead, she said the Bidens should face a military tribunal in Guantanamo Bay on trumped-up charges of sedition. You've got to be kidding me. And lastly, let me ask this question of Brother Thomas. Why?
You see, let me ask this question of Brother Thomas. You see how I use the black shit? Let me ask this question of Brother Thomas. Brother. They try to make him use the nigger.
Why are you such a hater?
They already firebombed pregnancy centers in Oregon and outside Buffalo, and they're attacking U.S. churches too.
Hate on civil rights, hate on women's rights, hate on reproductive rights, hate on voting rights, hate on marital rights, hate on equal protection under the law, hate on liberty and justice for all, hate on free and fair elections. Why are you such a hater?
This nigga talk about another black man as a hater, and you the only hater I see. Why are you such a hater? Huh?
And you think you can get away with it, escape public scrutiny. Because you think that shamelessness is your superpower?
Mr. Chairman,
we got to be a superhero to have a superpower.
Well, here's a news flash straight from the House Judiciary Committee. Truth thrust to the ground will rise again, and truth will be your kryptonite.
The Senate passed this bill a month ago. Why did it take so long?
The bill allows Supreme Court police to provide round-the-clock security to justices and their families if it's deemed necessary. Senate Republicans introduced the bill after a leaked draft opinion on a Mississippi abortion case that suggested the court may be poised to overturn Roe v. Wade. House Democrats wanted to add protections for Supreme Court employees and their families, but backed down when Senate Republicans said they wouldn't support the idea.
Remember, look. You see how they said they wanted to add protection for Supreme Court, the staff? You know why they want to add protection from the staff? Because they want to protect the leaker. That's the only reason why they want to add to the ministry. Oh, if you do it to the families, you might as well do it for the staff too. The Democrats wanted to do it for the staff because they wanted to protect the leaker.
That leak sparked protests targeting the homes of several justices. Calls to pass the bill increased last week after a man called police to say he was near Justice Brett Kavanaugh's home and planned to kill him.
It was House Democrats that at least wanted to get one itty-bitty concession out of this bill.
An affidavit states the 26-year-old California man had a gun and a knife, and he has been charged with attempted murder.
I'm glad.
Attempted murder. Got charged with attempted murder.
Glad it will be heading to the president's desk without any poison pills to ping it back to the Senate to delay it further.
Threats of violence and actual violence against the justices, of course, strike at the heart of our democracy.
The Department of
Right? I just wanted to show y'all a quick example on how the liberals, right, run their policies. How if you liberal, you can get away with burning shit. It doesn't matter if it's a protest against police, against voting rights, right, against Donald Trump, against churches, right, against First Amendment teachers, parents. It doesn't matter, right? In the name of liberalism, you can do what the fuck you want to do and won't get prosecuted. Now, it was just some people from the Colbert show that just went into the Capitol building and done something. I can't really say because, you know, YouTube censored. You can look it up on your local channel. You know, it was kind of that date-ish, you know. But they probably get treated differently than the people that was on the date. You know what I'm saying? They probably get treated differently because they liberals. It's not even a big news story right now, right? But it's the same thing happened, right, on that date. But this to show you liberals get treated differently, right? You had Garland investigate parents immediately with no proof, no evidence, and if he did have it, he didn't tell nobody, right? You got the Democrats, they're protecting the leaker. They're not investigating. The DOJ, right, should be in charge of investigating the leak. The DOJ is liberal. Think about how long it takes them to investigate Hunter Biden. They've been investigating him for 5 or 6 years, right? Look how long they investigate. If it was conservative, they'd hurry up and have them investigated in court and all kind of shit. But you conservative, I mean you liberal, your shit is extended. Look at all this shit against the dude Durham just had in court. They had. Look at the jury they had. Hillary Clinton donor. One played volleyball on his daughter's team. One was used to work for. I mean, it was set up in a federal court. Like, set up to fail. Look at all the evidence against Hillary Clinton. Look at people actually say she paid for the dossier and everything. They knew it. She knew it. Right? But if you liberal, you get treated a different kind of way. So I'm talking to the liberals, right? It's not about being a liberal or being conservative right now. It's about having a country. It's about running the country. It's about freedom, right? It's about your rights. When the Democrats take away our rights, they're also taking away your rights. Don't think you're going to get more rights, and don't think they can fool you that the Republicans are taking your rights away. They're giving you more rights. They're putting the rights back into the hands of the people. They letting the people have the voice about abortion. They letting the people have the voice about Second Amendment, about First Amendment. They letting the people have back the power. Right? So let me get up out of there. That's the show for today, and I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. And come up with some different information and some different shit. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow.